My name is Olivia Bennett, and I never thought I'd be thrown out of my own grandmother's funeral. But there I stood, in my black dress, watching my so-called family slam the door in my face. The worst part, I was the only one who truly knew Grandma Rose. Growing up, I was always different from the rest of the Bennetts. While my cousins Sophia and Marcus chased prestigious degrees and corporate positions, I preferred spending time in Grandma Rose's antique shop, learning about vintage treasures and forgotten stories. "You have an eye for value, Olivia," Grandma would say, teaching me how to identify genuine artifacts from replicas. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not everything valuable shines. My parents never understood our bond. "You're wasting your time with old junk," my mother would scoff. Look at Sophia, already a junior executive at 25, and Marcus with his MBA from Harvard. But Grandma Rose saw something in me that nobody else did. While my family measured success in degrees and bank accounts, she taught me about legacy, integrity, and the true meaning of wealth. The Bennetts weren't always about corporate ladders and stock portfolios, she'd tell me, her eyes twinkling. We built our fortune by understanding value, real value, in things others overlooked. I didn't know then that those lessons would become my greatest inheritance. The day Grandma Rose passed, something in my family changed. The thin veneer of civility cracked, revealing the ugly greed beneath. They couldn't even wait until after the funeral to start fighting over her estate. The antique shop must be worth millions, Sophie declared during the wake, her voice carrying across the funeral home. All those rare pieces she's collected over the years. Marcus nodded, already calculating. The real estate alone in downtown Boston, prime location. We could sell it to developers. I stood in the corner, my heart breaking. They saw dollar signs where I saw memories. Each piece in that shop had a story, a history that Grandma Rose had carefully preserved. The funeral was a spectacle of false grief. My Uncle Thomas, who hadn't visited Grandma in years, suddenly couldn't stop crying about his beloved mother. Aunt Patricia, who once called Grandma Rose an embarrassing relic, now praised her traditional values. I sat in the back row alone. When I tried to say a few words about Grandma, Sophia cut me off. "We don't need to hear from the shop girl," she sneered. "This is for real family." Real family. As if spending every weekend for the past 15 years helping Grandma in the shop, listening to her stories, learning her craft, meant nothing. After the service, I headed to Grandma's house. Our Sunday tradition was to have tea in her library. But when I reached for the door, my mother blocked my path. "Where do you think you're going?" she demanded. "This isn't your home anymore." "I just want to," I started, but Uncle Thomas interrupted. "Get-out," he roared. "You don't deserve to be here. You're not even a real Bennett, just some charity case Rose felt sorry for." The words stung, but not as much as watching my family nod in agreement. Even my father remained silent, avoiding my eyes. Grandma Rose was the only real family I had anyway, I said quietly, turning away from their hateful stares. Sophia's laughter followed me down the steps. "Enjoy going back to your little shop job. Some of us have real careers to manage." They had no idea that Grandma's shop cleared 7 figures monthly in online rare antique sales. She had modernized the business years ago, building a global clientele while maintaining the quaint storefront as a cover. But I kept that knowledge to myself, just as Grandma had taught me. 2 days later, Mr. Harrison, Grandma's lawyer for over 30 years, called an emergency meeting to read the will. The entire family gathered in his mahogany-paneled office, already dividing the spoils in their minds. I almost didn't go, but something in Mr. Harrison's voice when he called, a hint of satisfaction, made me curious. I arrived last, taking a seat near the door. Sophia and Marcus sat front and center, while my parents and aunts and uncles filled the expensive leather chairs. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. "Before we begin, Mrs. Bennet," Rose left specific instructions about the reading of her will. He pulled out an envelope, sealed with dark red wax bearing Grandma's distinctive R insignia. She asked that I read this letter first. The room fell silent as he broke the seal. "My dearest family, if you're hearing this, I've finally taken my last antiquing trip. Don't waste money on an elaborate funeral. We both know most of you are only there to ensure your place in this will." Sophia shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "For years, I've watched this family forget what truly matters. You've replaced values with valuations, character with careers. You've become so focused on status that you've lost sight of substance. But one person remembered. One person understood what I was trying to preserve wasn't just a collection of antiques, but a legacy of understanding true worth." My heart pounded as Mr. Harrison continued reading. "To my family who measures success in dollars, congratulations. You're about to learn exactly how much you've lost." He set down the letter and picked up the will itself. The room held its breath. "To Sophia Bennet, Marcus Bennet, and all other grandchildren except Olivia, I leave the sum of $1 each." The explosion was immediate. Sophia jumped to her feet, her face red with rage. Marcus started shouting about contesting the will, but Mr. Harrison wasn't finished. "To my children, Thomas, Patricia, James, and Elizabeth, I leave my collection of family photographs so you can remember when you still knew the value of family." My father, James, slumped in his chair, while Uncle Thomas turned purple with fury. "This is a joke," Aunt Patricia screeched. "Where's the real will?" Mr. Harrison held up his hand for silence. And finally, every head turned toward him. "To my beloved granddaughter Olivia, who understood that true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, but in the richness of character, I leave the entirety of my estate, including but not limited to Bennet Antiques International, all associated real estate holdings, my personal collection, and all business interests under the Bennet Group umbrella." The room exploded into chaos, but I barely heard them. My eyes were fixed on the next line Mr. Harrison was reading. "Current total valuation, $4.8 billion. I felt the blood drain from my face as the number registered. Billion. With a B. "This is impossible," Sophia screamed. She ran a dusty antique shop. Mr. Harrison smiled for the first time. Actually, Mrs. Rose Bennet was one of the most successful international antiquities dealers in the world. The shop was just the tip of the iceberg. He turned to me. "Miss Olivia, your grandmother left instructions to meet privately to discuss the full extent of your inheritance. Shall we say tomorrow morning?" I nodded, still unable to speak. As I stood to leave, my mother grabbed my arm. "Olivia, sweetheart, we need to talk about this as a family." I gently removed her hand. "Family? You threw me out of her funeral 2 days ago. Remember?" The look of desperate calculation in her eyes made me sick. I turned to Mr. Harrison. "Is there anything else for today?" He shook his head. "The rest can wait until tomorrow." As I walked to the door, I heard Sophia's shrill voice. "This isn't over. We'll contest it. I paused, my hand on the doorknob, and looked back at my family. These strangers who shared my blood, but had never shared my heart. Grandma Rose always said the true value of something isn't in its price tag, but in how much you're willing to invest in understanding it. I met each of their eyes. You never took the time to understand her. Or me. The door clicked shut behind me, leaving them with nothing but the echo of their own greed. Walking down the street, I pulled out my phone and opened the last text I'd received from Grandma Rose, just days before she passed. Remember, my dear, the best revenge isn't in proving them wrong. It's in living so well that they realize, too late, what they lost. I smiled through my tears. Tomorrow would bring challenges. Learning to run an empire, facing legal battles from my family, stepping into Grandma Rose's formidable shoes. But for now, I just wanted to go to the shop, sit in her old chair, and remember the woman who taught me that the greatest inheritances aren't counted in dollars, but in lessons learned and love given. The antique shop bell chimed as I opened the door, its familiar ring welcoming me home. The morning after the will reading, I arrived at Mr. Harrison's office exactly at 9 a.m. The gravity of yesterday's revelation still hadn't fully sunk in. $4.8 billion. The number seemed almost abstract, impossible to comprehend. "Good morning, Miss Bennet." Mr. Harrison greeted me, gesturing to a leather chair. "I hope you're ready. There's quite a lot to discuss." He placed a thick folder on his desk, emblazoned with the Bennet Group logo, something I'd never even seen before. "Your grandmother," he began, "was much more than an antique dealer. The shop was just a front for a vast network of international art acquisition, authentication, and trading operations." He opened the folder, revealing complex organizational charts and financial statements. Bennet Group operates in 43 countries, with offices in London, Dubai, Hong Kong, and New York. You're now the owner of one of the largest private art and antiquities conglomerates in the world. My head spun. But how did no one know about this? Mr. Harrison smiled. "Your grandmother was a master of discretion. She operated through dozens of shell companies and subsidiaries. The public face was always just the charming old lady with her antique shop." He pulled out another document. "She left this for you. A letter explaining everything." With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. "My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, you've just discovered that your eccentric grandmother wasn't quite what she seemed. Don't be angry that I kept this from you. Secrecy was necessary, not just from the family, but from the world. The Bennet Group isn't just about buying and selling antiques. We protect history, preserve culture, and sometimes, when necessary, rescue priceless artifacts from those who would destroy or exploit them. Remember that Ming vase you helped me authenticate last summer? It wasn't just a simple verification job. We were preventing an international smuggling ring from flooding the market with counterfeits. I've watched you grow, learn, and develop the perfect combination of skills needed for this work. Your eye for detail, your instinct for authenticity, and most importantly, your understanding that value isn't just about money. You're ready for this, even if you don't feel like you are. Love, Grandma Rose. P.S. Check the hidden compartment in my desk at the shop. The red ledger will explain everything else." I looked up at Mr. Harrison. "Did you know? All this time?" He nodded. "I've been your grandmother's lawyer for 30 years. I helped her build this empire in secret. And now, I'm here to help you." Just then, his office phone buzzed. "Sir, the Bennet family is here. All of them. They're demanding to speak with you. Mr. Harrison raised an eyebrow at me. Your call, Miss Bennett. You're the boss now. I took a deep breath. Let them wait. We have work to do. The next few hours were a crash course in my new reality. The Bennett Group wasn't just wealthy, it was powerful. We owned auction houses, authentication laboratories, restoration facilities, and even a state-of-the-art security company specializing in museum protection. Your grandmother left detailed instructions for the transition, Mr. Harrison explained. She's been preparing for this for years. All key executives have been briefed. They're expecting you. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing all morning. Texts and calls from family members poured in. Mom, Olivia, please be reasonable. We need to discuss this as a family. Sophia, you have no idea how to run a business. You'll destroy everything. Uncle Thomas, this is elder abuse. Rose wasn't in her right mind. I silenced my phone and focused on the documents in front of me. That's when I noticed something interesting in the financial statements. Mr. Harrison, these numbers. Sophia's company, Bennett Tech Solutions. We own 60% of it. He smiled. Your grandmother was quite strategic. She's been quietly acquiring controlling interests in all your cousin's businesses over the past decade. They just never knew who the real investor was. I sat back, stunned. So you now control not just the Bennett Group, but also majority stakes in Bennett Tech Solutions, Marcus's investment firm, and your Uncle Thomas's real estate empire. The irony was almost too perfect. All those years they'd looked down on me for working in that dusty old shop. They'd actually been working for Grandma Rose, and now for me. A knock at the door interrupted us. Mr. Harrison's assistant looked apologetic. I'm sorry, but they're getting quite insistent. Mr. Thomas Bennett is threatening to call the police. I stood up. It's time to face them. Walking into the waiting room felt like entering a lion's den. My entire family sat there, faces twisted with rage and desperation. Finally, Uncle Thomas boomed. This farce has gone on long enough. Sophia jumped up. We've already called our lawyers. We're contesting the will on grounds of mental incompetency. I held up my hand for silence. The gesture, so reminiscent of Grandma Rose, actually made them pause. Before you waste money on lawyers, there are some things you should know. I turned to Sophia. Bennett Tech Solutions received $100 million in investment capital last year through Phoenix Ventures. Did you never wonder who was behind that fund? Sophia's face went pale. And Marcus, that mysterious angel investor who saved your firm during the market crash. That was Grandma Rose. Marcus sank into his chair. Uncle Thomas, remember when you almost lost everything in 2020? Who do you think bought up your debt and negotiated with the banks? The color drained from his face as realization dawned. Grandma Rose didn't just leave me an antique shop. She left me controlling interest in everything, including your companies. The silence was deafening. My mother stepped forward, her voice honey-sweet. Darling, this is exactly why we need to handle this as a family. You need our help to manage all this. I met her eyes. Like you helped me at the funeral, or when you threw me out of Grandma's house. We were emotional, she pleaded. You have to understand. I understand perfectly. You thought I was worthless because I didn't fit your definition of success. Now that I control the purse strings, suddenly I'm family again? I picked up my bag and headed for the door. Mr. Harrison will be in touch with your respective boards of directors. I suggest you all focus on running your companies well. I'd hate to have to make any management changes "You can't do this," Safia shrieked. "You don't know the first thing about business." I paused at the door. "No, I helped build a billion-dollar empire right under your noses, and none of you even noticed. Imagine what I can do now that I don't have to hide." The door closed on their stunned faces. Outside, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Opening, it revealed a photo. Grandma Rose standing in front of an impressive building in London. Another text followed. "Welcome to Bennett Group HQ, Miss Bennett. The executive team is ready for you whenever you'd like to begin." I smiled, remembering all those lessons in the shop, all those hours learning about authenticity and value. Grandma Rose hadn't just been teaching me about antiques. She'd been preparing me for this moment. Time to show the world what the real Olivia Bennett could do. The first 6 months leading the Bennett Group taught me more than a decade of working in the antique shop. Though I now understood that every lesson Grandma Rose had given me was preparation for this moment. My first day at the London headquarters was surreal. The quaint antique dealer had run her empire from a stunning Victorian building in Mayfair, its austere exterior hiding ultra-modern offices within. Julia Chen, Grandma's executive assistant for 20 years, met me at the door. "Miss Bennett," she smiled warmly, "Rose told us you'd be ready." The executive team gathered in the boardroom, seasoned professionals who'd helped build this empire from the shadows. They'd all been briefed years ago about the succession plan. While my family saw me as the shop girl, these people had been prepared to accept me as their new leader. "Your grandmother left detailed briefings about every aspect of the operation," Julia explained, handling me a sleek tablet, "including contingency plans for your family's likely reactions." I scrolled through the files, amazed at Grandma Rose's foresight. She'd anticipated everything, from Safia's legal challenges to Uncle Thomas's attempts to undermine my authority. The first test came sooner than expected. Sophia, true to form, tried to orchestrate a hostile takeover of Bennett Tech Solutions, attempting to dilute the company's stock to reduce my controlling interest. I let her make her moves. Then in one board meeting, I revealed that Bennett Group owned not just 60% of her company's shares, but also held the patents to their core technology. Patents Grandma Rose had quietly acquired years ago. "You see, Safia," I said calmly as she sat there, face ashen. "While you were mocking me for working in a dusty old shop, I was learning how to authenticate not just antiques, but the true value of everything, including intellectual property." Marcus tried a different approach. He showed up at my office one morning, all smiles and reconciliation. "Come on, Olivia," he cajoled. "We're family. We should be working together. I could help you manage all this. It's what I went to Harvard for, remember?" I pulled out his firm's latest financial reports. "You mean like how you managed to lose $40 million in bad investments last quarter? The only reason your firm survived was Grandma Rose's safety nets." He left without another word. The real changes began 3 months in. I started consolidating the Bennett Group's scattered operations, bringing our various enterprises under a more cohesive structure. The antique shop remained our public face, but I expanded our authentication services, leveraging our expertise and technology. We launched a new division specializing in digital authentication of art and antiquities using blockchain technology, something Grandma Rose had been quietly developing before she passed. The market response was overwhelming. One morning, Julia brought me the Financial Times. There on the front page, "Bennett Group emerges from shadows, the secret giant of the art world." The article revealed the true scope of our operations to the public for the first time. By evening, our stock had jumped 30%. My phone exploded with messages from family members who'd previously sworn never to speak to me again. Mother, darling, we're so proud of you. When can we discuss my role in the company? Uncle Thomas, blood is thicker than water, Olivia. Let's talk about synergies between our businesses. I archived their messages without replying. Instead, I focused on building something new. The Bennett Authentication Institute opened its doors 6 months after I took over, a state-of-the-art facility combining traditional expertise with cutting-edge technology. We offered training programs for aspiring authenticators, scholarships for art history students, and resources for museums and collectors. The real satisfaction came from the small victories, like when Sophia's company lost a major contract because their patents were suddenly under review by Bennett Group's legal team, or when Marcus's firm had to publicly disclose that their major investor, us, was pulling out, triggering a stock price plunge. I didn't do it out of spite. Every move was strategically sound, designed to strengthen the Bennett Group's position. That it happened to humble my arrogant family was just a satisfying bonus. 1 year to the day after Grandma Rose's funeral, I stood in the antique shop, now restored to its former glory. While we'd expanded globally, I kept this place exactly as it had been, the heart of our empire, hiding in plain sight. The bell chimed as the door opened. My mother walked in, looking older and tired. The prodigal mother returns, I said, not looking up from the ledger I was reviewing. Olivia, please. Her voice cracked. We were wrong. I was wrong. I know an apology isn't enough, but... You're right. I cut her off. It isn't. Finally, I looked at her. Do you know what Grandma Rose told me the day before she died? She said, Olivia, success isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I closed the ledger. I'm not angry anymore, Mom. I'm just done. You all showed me exactly who you were at the funeral. Money didn't change you. It revealed you. We can change, she pleaded. Give us a chance. I smiled, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. You don't need my money to change. If you really want to prove you've learned something, go build something of your own. That's what I did. After she left, I went up to Grandma's old office, my office now. The hidden compartment in her desk still held secrets she'd wanted me to find. Letters, photographs, journals documenting the real history of the Bennett Group. One photo caught my eye. Grandma Rose as a young woman, standing in front of the shop on opening day. She looked so much like me. That same determined glint in her eye. My phone buzzed. Julia with updates about our latest acquisition. Bennett Group was now worth close to $7 billion. The shop's bell chimed again downstairs, probably another customer looking for hidden treasures. I smiled, remembering how it all started. The family that threw me out had thought the antique shop was nothing. They never understood that real value isn't always visible on the surface. Sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones others overlook. Grandma Rose had built an empire by understanding that. Now it was my turn to carry that legacy forward, on my own terms. The shop's bell chimed again. Time to get back to work. After all, there were still so many treasures waiting to be discovered, so many stories waiting to be told. And this time, I was writing my own story. The next week, I received an invitation to speak at Harvard Business School. The topic? Hidden Empires, the art of building success in plain sight. I thought about declining, but then I remembered Grandma Rose's words. Sometimes the best revenge is showing them exactly what they missed. I accepted the invitation. Sophia and Marcus would be in the audience. Harvard alums, of course. They'd have to sit there and listen as their failure of a cousin explained how she'd been running circles around them for years. But more importantly, I'd tell the story of a woman who built an empire not through ruthless competition or fancy degrees, but through understanding true value in art, in business, and in people. The antique shop's bell chimed one last time that evening. I looked up to see Julia standing there with a familiar twinkle in her eye. "Miss Bennet, the London office just called. They found something interesting in the archives. Something your grandmother left for when you're ready." I smiled. Even now, Grandma Rose was still teaching me. "Well then," I said, reaching for my coat, "let's go see what other treasures she left for us to discover." After all, that's what the Bennett Group was really about. Finding value in the overlooked, beauty in the forgotten, and strength in being underestimated. Just like Grandma Rose had taught me.